So I can say hi to Shirley Cook.
Hi, Dr. Remy, how are you?
Hi to Shirley Cook. Long time no see.
I know, lovely to see you virtually.
Good to see you.
Same here.
All right, so I think we're live. I think we'll just wait for the live to build up a bit and we'll begin. So good evening, everyone. My name is Keegan Dillon. I am your CARICOM's ambassador for Trinidad and Tobago and also the moderator for tonight's panel. Today we'll be talking about Talk the Real Things, the THA Elections 2021 Post-COVID Tourism Recovery Plan. And tonight we have a panel of esteemed individuals who would have made significant contributions to the island over the years. So at this time, I now invite Dr. Remy to tell us a little bit about herself.
Hi, good evening, Keegan. Good evening to the other panelists. I am Maria Dillon-Remy, a daughter of the soil from Buku Point, Tobago, pediatrician, former hospital medical director, now independent senator, and very, very interested in the direction and trajectory our island is taking right now. So I'm happy to be here this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Remy, for being a part of this panel. We now move to Ms. Shirley Cook. Take off your mic, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shirley Cook, returning national of 18 years. I've been happy to be back and able to contribute to Tobago. I've done several medical missions here. I'm also the brainchild behind the Tobago Street Fair and the Crown Point Carnival. I'm also a member of the Tobago Recovery Team and a board member of the Tobago Hotel and Hospitality Institute. I'm happy to be here to contribute to Tobago's development.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cook. We now move to Mr. Kevin McKenna.
Hi, good evening to the panel. My name is Kevin McKenna. I have been involved with a lot of.
I think your audio is a bit low.
Hear me? Sorry?
Yeah, hear you now.
Hear me now? Okay. So I'll start. Which part or just start over?
Start over.
All right. So my name is Kevin McKenna. I have been involved in events for probably over 10 to 15 years in the Tobago landscape, also in Trinidad. I recently completed my second master's in Arts and Carnival Studies. Recent projects, brainchild behind the Capture the Flag event, one of the largest football events in Tobago, and recently presented a proposal for a second Tobago Carnival to a number of stakeholders throughout the Tobago space.
Thank you very much, Mr. McKenna. And last but certainly not least, the new CEO of the Tobago Festivals, Mr. John Arnold.
Yeah, well, I've been involved in education, tourism, and culture for donkey years. And it's a pleasure to be here with all of you, my fellow panelists. And I look forward to some fruitful discussions this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arnold. And this program is brought to you by the Tobago Civil Society Network, and this is a group of non-profit and non-partisan civil society organizations, NGOs, and citizens whose aim is the holistic development of Tobago. This body includes representation from education, agriculture, and the environment, youth development, arts and culture, tourism, and the business sector. So tonight we'll be talking about the post-COVID tourism recovery plan. And to jump straight into it, I will start with Mr. Arnold, the new CEO of the Tobago Festival. So Mr. Arnold, this question is for you. In general, what's the plan to save Tobago's tourism industry?
Well, I mean, first of all, let me just qualify my statements purely from my perspective, my own knowledge, my own training. So I do not represent the views of any agency or any entity. I want to make that abundantly clear so that we have, clarity for everybody. I think there are several things. I think I will just try to talk about just a few because other panelists will certainly touch on some. I think one of the key things would be the idea about rebuilding the destination. And I think to do that, that calls for a number of things. I think now is the time for the various stakeholders here to start doing some work in terms of whether now is the period to upgrade, to go digital, to start creating the kind of apps that they need to use, and also digitization in terms of how they do their operations and so on. Now would also be the time to deal with some of the sites, some of the locations that we have to do the improvements to those. And now is also the time to start some planning. I think also restoring customer or traveler confidence would be critical. And I'm sure they're already looking at the kind of markets that we have to look at, some market diversification. We have to rethink how we do tourism. I think we can't do it as how we've been doing it before. Everything is moved into a whole new phase. We may have new health protocols that we have to look at. And I think the other one that I think, just to throw it out now, is that I think now is a wonderful opportunity for us to start shaping the virtual landscape, because I think the virtual landscape is going to be the future. If even we go back to live events, live festivals, that virtual is going to be the thing of the future. We can't get away from it. So in the future, I think now is the time for us to look at the kind of platforms that we engage, the kind of platforms we use, and certainly look at how we do the hybrid mix going forward. So those are my opening comments on that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arnold. And just to inform the viewing public, Mr. Arnold is the newly installed CEO of Tobago Festivals. He's also the holder of an executive master's in business administration from Arthur Lockjack, and also the holder of a doctorate in business administration from Arthur Lockjack as well.
No, I'm still pursuing.
He's still pursuing his doctorate, so it's in process.
Yeah.
But he is currently the present chairman of Music TT and also the president of COT. So his words of wisdom is well received. We now move to Dr. Remy. Dr. Remy, in your opinion, what's the plan to save Tobago's tourism industry?
Your mic.
Your mic, Dr. Remy.
Not being actively in the tourism field myself, I cannot say I can speak for what is the plan for tourism in Tobago, but I can certainly say what I would like to see, in that we are still a beautiful destination. And in spite of the fact that we have done so poorly in terms of our tourism product and not the number of people that we would have had over the years, things have not gone well for us. In spite of that, it is my hope that we do get our act together, as Mr. Arnold was saying, and really identify what do we want to see in terms of tourism in Tobago. I would say a couple of things. One, in the past, I don't think we've been very serious about tourism in Tobago because we have not really, our lives have not really depended on it. In that, we were always bailed out by oil money, and therefore we did not have to do the kinds of things that the other islands have done, because their sole income has been from tourism. We have not had to do that. And therefore, tourism has been literally, as far as I see it, a byproduct. It has not been our focus on the island. So that in spite of what we have, the beautiful island, natural, etc., and all the things that they are talking about in terms of Tobago beyond beautiful and all those things that are spoken about, we have not really developed it. And my hope now is that as a result of this COVID pandemic, as a result of the lack of the bailouts that we would have from the oil money, we are going to be putting serious effort into building the product. That's all I'll say for the time
Thank
being.
you, Dr. Remy. And Dr. Remy is the current independent senator in the Senate of Trinidad and Tobago. She's also a former hospital medical director at the Scarborough Regional Hospital, and she has a master's in organizational leadership. We now move on to Mr. Kevin McKenna. So, Mr. McKenna, in your opinion, what's the plan to save Tobago's tourism industry?
I think we need to start, and I would use some of the words by the goodly doctor, proper planning. We have not been really depending on tourism. It's more, we do it, we ain't do it, we're not concerned. For me, I would focus a lot on how we produce our festivals. And with that, I know it's good that we now have a new festivals CEO. And I think the structure of that organization is important. And I know they are now putting that structure in place and also getting the right people in. In the past, what we have seen is that we have been, in a sense, recycling a certain grouping of persons. And if we keep to that grouping, we're not going to go. We're not going to move. So for me, it's going to be one, the proper planning of our festivals and to put them in that direction where you can now get the full potential. Right? Looking at our customer base, training in our customer service. We're always complaining about it, but we're not doing anything aggressively enough. Like probably having, the random shoppers to go in and hide and sit down and see how Shirley Cook doing she business, and then you give them a review. We need to be more aggressive if we are to push ourselves in that direction. COVID has given us, presented a lovely opportunity where we have a lot of downtime, and I think that downtime should be used to do the strategic planning and then from there the implementation.
Thank you very much, Mr. McKenna. And Kevin McKenna has always been an enthusiastic and passionate advocate for culture and arts on the island. He has been engaged in youth work through the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force. He's the holder of 2 master's degrees, one in marketing and one in arts and culture. And he's also the driving force behind Capture the Flag, one of our flagship programs here on the island of Tobago. So last but certainly not least, we go to Ms. Shirley Cook. So Ms. Cook, in your opinion, what's the plan to save Tobago's tourism industry?
Thank you. Tobago's tourism, we have a golden opportunity, as everyone said, because of COVID-19. But here we are on about the 9th month of being in a semi-lockdown and full lockdown. And we haven't quite understand that the plan for tourism has to be in phase so we could correct all the wrongs that we had done prior to COVID so we could get the tourism product on the right path. It must be predicated on trust and confidence. And I'm saying that at every stage of the game, from the survival mechanism to the transition and then to recovery, because we have a lot of work to do. You see, in order for us to truly develop the tourism product and the destination Tobago that will be competitive, it means that because of COVID, there has to be a robust and effective and efficient process in the survival mechanism of the stakeholders. That is critical so that we could chart the way forward. It also means that we should be in a transition phase right now, a phase that allows us to reimagine, retool, and repurpose our tourism product. It means, therefore, that this is the period, if we had, or should we do the proper survival mechanism, where you can bring the stakeholders up to scratch, then they will be able now to position and retool in the sense of innovation and doing and educating themselves about tourism on the island. And then we could truly say that we recover. We could work out our system so that we can truly recover and compete. So in a nutshell, it means that we have to have a strategic plan where the messaging is a collaborative message and a clear message to all the stakeholders, both internal and external. It means, therefore, that we have to understand our product here. We have to understand who is involved in tourism here, and an audit is necessary. So all those groundwork has to be part of the transition process going forward, so we can have a proper plan to address tourism, which can be the nucleus from which all other sectors can develop.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cook, for your contribution. And ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Shirley Cook is one of 17 siblings and a mother of one. She's a returning national of 18 years. So basically, she's legal now. Bringing back medical specialists to Tobago, pioneering endoscopic surgery at the Scarborough General Hospital, along with other specialists such as ophthalmology, neurosurgery, orthopedics, and radiology. She's also the brainchild behind the Crown Point Juve and the Tobago Street Fair, a successful business owner. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Shirley Cook. So as we move ahead in our discussion, I want to throw this question to Mr. McKenna. Mr. McKenna, in your opinion, what kind of tourism should Tobago be aiming for as we move forward? I mean, some people think that we should go to big hotels and invite them like sandals. But what about the kind of experience we offer?
We could have, there's nothing wrong with bringing this sandals model, but you can fit it to what you want. So for example, Castara has a model, the eco-friendly model. And I think the statistics are showing they were boasting that they had an 80% occupancy. So for me, even if you're bringing sandals, you have to bring down that design to reflect what you want the Tobago to represent, and not just bring a big hotel and put it there, right? So if you're bringing sandals and you're going to go to the eco-friendly resort type, fine. If you're just going to bring and put and concreterize the whole thing, then I may have a little concern in that direction, because at the end of the day, we have to look at what separates us from brand Jamaica or Barbados or St. Lucia, right? So we can craft our own branding in that aspect. What's the next thing you had asked?
What kind of experiences we should offer?
Well, see, we have many, and we can also develop our own. We already have the festival. We are very strong in the festival area. We have our Tobago Heritage, the jazz, the carnival. We have Blue Food. So we have the festivals. We need to strengthen those events again with the right people, making some changes, doing some surveys on the ground, or doing audits. We also have the wedding industry. I think that is really picking up. I observed the work of Mr. Elvis Rajman and also Onika Maz, Asha Maz, right? So there are many, and you could also do the zip lining. So you can build out what are the experiences that you want, and also you can project who are based on your target audience, what are the services that you're going to present? Because already millennials may want to, for example, now because of COVID, we have seen the rise of the Zest movement, right? And basically most of the villas, or if not all the villas in Tobago on a weekend is booked out, right? So in one night you have 4 or 5 up to 6 parties. I think one weekend we checked, we had 10, right? So, and COVID has caused that. That is also a movement. Will that movement continue after the country opens back? We don't know, but it's still a target audience. And I mean, the Trinis will come up and and fall into that same movement. So it depends on what we want, and we can develop what we don't have. So we still have to now sit with the right persons to do that.
All right. So I don't think Dr. Remy will be part of this Zest movement. Right, Dr. Remy? So in your opinion...
Neither am I. No, I'm dead serious. I think it's one of the most dangerous trends that's taking place. I mean, sorry, McKenna is my partner, but totally against it. Totally against it. I think we have to respect and understand what's happening with COVID. I'm sure Dr. Remy will tell you, if that thing gets out of hand in a place like Tobago, you have a major, major problem. Absolutely. So I can't support that at all. Not even as part of a strategy. Sorry. But I'll come in. When my turn comes, I'll talk.
No problem. So Dr. Remy, I know you will not be involved in the Zest movement or the parties on the weekend in terms of that tourism sector. But so in your opinion, what kind of experience you would want as a tourist coming to Tobago?
So the type of tourism that I would like to see is a tourism that fits in with the environment. So in other
Right.
words, the echo, the green, where we are mining the natural resources that we have. I would say something as simple as this. I swim. So we have this aqua jogging club on Mount Irving Beach. There are people who visit this island and come to that Mount Irving Beach on mornings and they just enjoy themselves. As far as I'm concerned, that's health tourism or wellness tourism, wellness tourism, where the people are coming, enjoying the ambience in a place that you are, as the population, you're already there. Now, I'm not sure how much money this kind of thing is going to bring in, but wellness industry, as far as I understand it, is a big industry worldwide. And you see, when COVID finish, mash up our mental health, our physical health, and every other type of health, we are going to need the kind of environment that Tobago has for people to come and chill, for people to come and regroup and regain their health. So I think the wellness tourism, I'm not sure in terms of the dollars, but I'm hearing it's $1 billion industry. And I think we have the environment for it. And I would also say that whatever tourism product we have on the island, it should be looking at the longevity of the island. Don't come and mash up the place with nastiness and garbage and stuff like that, and then leave the place in a manner that you would not even want to live in it. So the health, the echo, the wellness is the way I think we should go. We also have festivals, and that's already been talked about. Sports tourism, I don't know the details, but when people come here for the C2C marathon and the rainbow triathlon and stuff like that, all those things are very healthy. Again, I'm not sure how much money it brings in. The planners, the framers will have to look at that. But whatever it is, I think the principle should be keep our natural, pristine, because when we bring mashup type of tourism and it mashes up the environment, at the end of it, they're going and look for somewhere else and we don't have anywhere, so I really do think that we should be thinking of preserving as we
I
go along.
totally agree with you, Dr. Remy. And healthcare tourism has been something that I have been so passionate about. It is indeed $1 billion industry that
So
we can tap into.
let me just, the business about health tourism, there are many variants of it. So, and many countries are doing quite well in that area. Yes, it's $1 billion industry, but there are lots to what we have right now as a platform. We'll have to do a lot of work if we want to do the traditional health tourism, in the sense of people coming here to get their health care and stuff like that. We're a long way away from that. But in terms of wellness, I think we are closer to that than the traditional health, where people come here for their surgery and their heart surgery and that kind of thing. That's a totally different totally different ball game.
So you're recommending that we market Tobago as a more of a recovery destination than anything else?
Recovery destination, healing destination, yes.
All right, no problem. So, Mr. Arnold, in your opinion, what type of tourism we should focus on, and what kind of experiences we should offer besides this thing?
I'm so sorry we don't have the time. But first of all, let me just say thanks, Dr. Remy. We now have a new niche, mashup tourism. I like that one. No, I think it's the way you said it. So, one of the things about traveling to several of these trade shows all over the world, I mean, I had that privilege. One of the things is countries focus on what competitive advantage, all right? So we know that. So, when you go to the Egypt stand, you're going to see the pyramids. You go to the Kenya stand, you see those guys jumping in Maasai and so on and so on and so on. So that seems to be the kind of principle that you see in terms of how people sell. Now, the problem with Tobago is that there's no way we could sell one thing. We have to always be selling several things. Now, the other problem I have found is that we are not consistent, persistent. So we start talking about archaeotourism, and we start to work on the port. We start going below the sea, we get people, and we start dealing with the artifacts from below, which by the way, Archeo Museum is an amazing thing for a country with as well. So we started, we kind of stopped, and and for me, the strengths of Tobago are history, culture, and we have two kinds of festivals that we do here. We have what we call the homegrown indigenous, and we have the tourist tempters, right? The tourist tempters are those that we created in 2000 and in the 2000 that gave us the highest numbers of international visitors ever, right? And that's recorded, that's not. And those had to do not only with aggressive marketing and the fueling of investment in terms of marketing, but in terms of pursuing festival tourism that not only straddled festivals, but it straddled sport tourism too. There was an active sport tourism committee. If you recall, Tobago Motor Rally, Children's Sailing Regatta, all of those things were happening on the island. And that is what was feeding the hotels and the guest houses and all those ancillary and supporting services to tourism. So if you were to ask me, I mean, I can go on this because I'm really passionate about this. I think we have to focus on those things that are powerful for us. Dr. Remy alluded to something earlier, which is true. The natural, we have that. We have a rainforest that there's none in the Western Hemisphere like that. We know that, all right? We have birds, more than 200 species. We have some of the best birders in Tobago. Newton is like a boss, right? We have some of the best beaches. I don't even know that the people in Tobago don't even know about the bioluminescent algae in the mangrove, which is a big, I've seen tourists go crazy, come out with their mosquito bites, and they don't care. What they just saw was a mind-blowing thing. And we take for granted a number of things. I was telling Brother Louis today, food is a big thing in Tobago, and we play with harvest, and we can start. The experience of eating crab meat out of a gundi is something that if you were to do a film session on that, how we get the meat out of a crab gundi, is a big thing for experiential tourism. Okay. So all of those things, I think, combined, along with, I like Dr. Remy with the therapeutic health part, I think are really powerful things for us. But we all have to get serious. Earlier, we talked about the fact that tourism, well, how do you build tourism in an oil and gas strong economy? Mm-hmm. And that's a question the academics have had scholarship on. How do you do that? Because in our case, you get the money to do it. But how do you get serious to say, hey, Tobago, this is what is our biggest strength. Let's all come on board. That's my 2 cents. Hey, by the way, I could talk on this for.
I know. I must agree with you because I see when you're talking about tourism in Trinidad and Tobago, we do tourism because we want to. But when in other Caribbean countries, they do tourism because they have to, they depend on it. And when you come to that point, you maximize every resource that you have. So I'm guessing we are not at that point as yet. But I'm jumping to Ms. Shirley Cook. So Ms. Cook, I know you're an advocate for the compound UV. So this question would fall right along your path. What kind of tourism should Tobago be aiming for moving forward? And what kind of experiences we should be offering?
Okay, so Tobago tourism should be the kind of tourism that, now when we go back to 2005, we had about 89,000 visitors on the island. And the kinds of things those visitors liked on the island is the same kinds of things that, as I look at the webinars now, post-COVID, the kind of thing that the new travelers post-COVID are looking for. And Tobago is poised in its human resources, its natural and cultural assets to provide what I call niche tourism, which is exactly what Dr. Remy and Mr. Arnold is speaking about. Niche tourism is not mass tourism, and Tobago does not lend itself to mass tourism. We are more a niche tourism island that would attract people who are specifically drawn to things like health and wellness, outdoor activities, unique types of sports. Our tourism product can be really different to the rest of the Caribbean. We must be able to stand out. Even we have the Man and Biosphere Award, and the kind of topography and the layout of Tobago lends itself to offering a dual kind of tourism experience when visitors come here. I am thinking that the northeast of Tobago lends itself to a kind of tourism that speaks to nature, health and wellness, outdoors, and that kind of stuff. Whereas the Southwest speaks to a more traditional type of tourist. Now, when you're in the tourism game and you want to compete regionally and internationally, you must find a way to be all encompassing, so that there are persons who would want to come to Tobago and may not want to experience this mass tourism, but they want some little activity. And the southwest of Tobago is more prone for that. Now, Dr. Remy hit the nail on the head, because as I said, tourism is a nucleus from which all these other areas could be developed, all these other sectors on the island, from agriculture to education to medical tourism. So that we can look at things as rehabilitation tourism, even though we're not going into the deep things like recovery from heart surgery. We could do plastic surgery, some minor plastic surgeries on the island. I mean, that's long in the future. But the fact is that Tobago is really poised to attract the kinds of travelers' interest that the webinars, with all the surveys now that are happening, that the new traveler would want to see. And we need to really, I like everything else, I always think, because I'm so passionate about my Tobago love, that I think we are moving too slow. We need to provide the kind of experiential tourist experience that lift up our products, lift up who we are, our culture, our human resources, our natural resources. We must also be in a position where we allow our indigenous residents to be able to manage and monetize and maintain these things. The government has to release some of these assets from their portfolio so the stakeholders can actually monetize and manage that, so the tourists can have a better experience.
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Arnold.
No, I just want to add two things that I think, because of this discussion. One is the community tourism model that's happening at Castara. I think that's a critical thing, because sometimes I'm amazed when I go to Castara, what's happening there. And I have a friend there who owns a big property there. And very simple, modest, but beautiful experiences to the people. And the second one is the mice market. And I want to make the point about the mice market, because a lot of people don't even know. So soon, and only because of COVID, the Comfort Inn Suites, which is an American brand, has 75 rooms that are coming, which should have opened since in this year. Now, as working with Shore Park, I know that we have been talking with them for more than a year, talking about joint marketing plans and the idea of working collaboratively for small meetings, right? And one of the things I learned from going to IMEX and Convex is that that's a big market, a group of doctors who meet. They're affluent, they spend, but they want to have a conference in a destination. when I went to those conferences, we were able to boast about Shore Park, and they loved the facility and all that. You know what was, actually, we had a big advantage. We were 5 minutes from the hospital, which was one of the questions. And the second question was brand hotels. We didn't have brand hotels. And one of the things about the American market, I realize, is that they want to know when they say a Hyatt or a Ritz-Carlton or Marriott, they know what it gives, they know what it is. They don't want to do the research. So I'm just saying that the Comfort Inn as a small property, that's another niche, right? The MICE market that we can also pursue moving forward post-COVID.
Okay. This question just came in. The question goes, global tourism today is being driven by social media as more individuals are traveling to enhance their social media aesthetic. How can Tobago build on this online influencer movement to boost tourism? To anyone?
Well, I was hoping Shirley was going.
Yeah, I was.
Shirley, go ahead. I'll chip in.
Okay, so your question, Mr. Keegan, was that how we could build on the social media.
Right, so young people now are traveling to build their social media aesthetic. How can Tobago build on the online influencer movement to boost their tourism?
Well, as we know, the direction for tourism and online tourism is all digital. We need to, one of the things that is important is that we need to document all our natural and historical sites.
Right.
So that when visitors come here or when they are engaged on their social media platform, it is quite easy to locate and identify all these natural and heritage sites. In addition to that, I know John talked earlier about the virtual aspect. With post-COVID, one of the things, or even now, what we could have started was what I call like a virtual Tobago Day, which is a weekly showcase of all the communities. It could be all 12 constituent areas that are featured virtually every week, so that persons could, all our customers, the visitors who came to this island, and all the stakeholders, we engage them all to tune in. On that platform will be the creatives who will be performing, and all this is happening in the community, because community tourism is really where it's at. So you could get that indigenous type of experience which people are looking for. So that there are multiple ways of doing that. And with technology now, it's quite easy. So there's no reason why we cannot document on a platform that allows people to also buy a lot of things that the island has to offer. So this is something that I think that could be set up in a reasonably short time, particularly in this environment, and engage all the visitors who have traveled to Tobago, and they would then pass on that information to their friends and family. We need to also engage the diaspora. In addition to that, there is this kind of remember, Tobago has been fought over more than 30 times. So we need to get that, we need to market that. We have to find a way to market and promote that, so we engage the Europeans to connect back to their heritage somehow, because Tobago has so many areas around the island with the Dutch, English, French, Spanish influence, that I think all these on a digital platform is how people can engage themselves to Destination Tobago.
Okay, all right. So Mr. McKenna, as a young person, what is your opinion? How can we monetize or get the best out of having influencers in Tobago? Your mic, I'm not hearing you clearly.
Like you reached 2050, baby.
All right, Mr. McKenna, I think we may have to come back to you. So, Dr. Remy, can Tobago develop a tourism industry that focuses solely on Trinidad market? What are your thoughts on that?
Solely on?
The Trinidad market. I mean, some people believe that we have 1 point something million people in Trinidad. That's a wealth that we can tap into. What is your opinion?
I think the Trinidad market is a market that we should tap into more, but I think it should that's more short term.
Okay.
Short term continuing, but it should not be the only. I think we do need the experience of the foreign market.
Right.
We have more, we have so much to offer. I don't think we should just, I mean, short term, yes, especially what is happening right now. And the Trinidad market is a very good market to tap into. By the way, I know that in the past, many Trinidadians have said, it is easier for me to jump on a plane, get to Barbados, get to Europe quicker than I can get to Tobago, because we know the issues that have been in the past in terms of the air bridge and sometimes the sea bridge. Right. So getting the Trinidad market is something that in other words, we really have to make sure that the bridge between the two islands is sorted so that we can get consistent travel between the two islands. But I don't think it should be the only.
Okay. Mr. Anam?
No, I wanted to tap back on that virtual, just to make the point that there's several agencies that have already started to take advantage of that platform of selling. As a matter of fact, right in the Festivals Commission, I was very pleased to see the response to both the Tobago Heritage and the Tobago Blue Food. Amazing response. I mean, even more than the live. They had like, in one instance, for one particular, it was like 250K in terms of reach, and another 60, 80,000 in terms of reach. In terms of engagement. And then in terms of repeat visitors and so on, it's just amazing what that has done. And I mean, the kind of curiosity, for example, the Blue Food cereal created quite a stir. And the beauty about that is that we have the opportunity to curate that stuff now. All right. And I would think that a lot of people are doing that, you know, with the dive. All right. I've seen some beautiful dive videos. People are doing it with several elements of tourism in Tobago. And I think that's what we have to do. I have just found some old heritage tapes, 90, 91, 92. I've just given information division to move them from VHS. Let's look at how we can curate, digitize it, clean it up, and start looking that's serious content. So I just want to say that I think in terms of what we have, that virtual platform is really, really a powerful thing. Now going to the next question that you asked, we have to do domestic tourism. Domestic tourism is a must, but there's no way we could. The real, when you start talking about tourism, foreign exchange, people spending for 2 weeks, real solid income and so on, you really need the international visitors. And right. I think, just to piggyback on some of the comments of the other panelists, we are poised, we have the greatest opportunity to get ready for that post-COVID period. We are ready to jump once everybody comes together, get out the siloism and work together. Yeah.
All right. So Ms. Cook.
Keegan, you hearing me by chance?
Yeah. No, hear me.
Okay.
Right. The question about Trinidad tourism. We're lucky. We're quite lucky that we have Trinidad in this time of COVID. Even though that has not really worked out as well during the time of COVID because the inter-island transportation also has been down. But if an island is serious about tourism, even if you have a twin island arrangement, the true benefits of tourism must be an international market. And that's because you want to create growth, you want to create wealth through your tourism activities. And the only way to really do that is to get foreign exchange. That's the only way you could bring in the kind of money to the country. What the Trinidad market does is really supplement us, and we need it, and it has to be there. But Tobago cannot survive on a Trinidad market only for tourism. We are thankful for it, but we just can't do it on Trinidad. We need the international market, and hence the reason why the way we promote and market Destination Tobago is critical to getting the right kind of people to this island to experience the kind of products that we have here to create that experience.
Nice. So Mr. McKenna, this question, thank you for joining us again. If you are given $300 million, that is more than $250 million TT, to fix tourism in Tobago from 2021 onward, how would you spend this money and why?
All right, so there are a number of things that you have to do, multiple things, but let me answer the question you had asked before when I got cut off. In terms of influencers hold a lot of power on their Facebook or Instagram pages. And there are people that, just like entertainers, we follow a number of these influencers blindly. But if one can harness those influencers to post about a particular topic or a particular silk cotton tree, you would surprise to see in the short space of time the amount of persons tuning in and saying, okay, we want to go and see this, we want to try this because Kiga see it good. All right. So influencers do hold I think in some cases even more power than probably the radio stations used to, because a number of people on social media, I myself, I probably watch everything on, I tell somebody, if I don't see it on social media, I don't see it on Instagram, it's not important enough for me to look at. Right. And there are a number of younger persons probably living like that. So it will depend on the demographic and the reach of that influencer. On the question of the 300 million, there are a number of things that would need to be done. Well, one, we have to fix the transportation system. Kudos to the government now that we have a boat coming. So that is good. We have to have, well, the airline, we will always be complaining about the airline, and something needs to be done with that. It's either adding more flights or using I think there is software that could do the predictability, so you know when to increase, when to decrease. You have to fix the general transportation system, the buses going about, the case may be. There's also something good that I saw that have started. The recent designs of the bus shed, I think, is something good. It would go far in the branding. I envision someone standing there in the belly costume, and taking a picture, right? So I really like the concept of the bus sheds, the signage that has come on board the Isle of Tobago. And then now you have to, again, deal with your festivals aspect, right? Dealing with the festivals, what festival you want, when, the demographic of that festival, and then from there you would know how to build out your marketing. And then you have to deal with the other issues of the training of the persons. For example, if we bring foreigners here, why are our tourism stores items are still in TT? Because a number of people may come here with US. So that's something that I would like to see as well. When you go in the other countries, you go in England, you see the prices in Australia and pounds. So for here, that's something that we need to have as well. The prices must be listed in TT, US. It depends on the market you're targeting the most.
I don't want to cut you off, but what do you think about having a duty free on the island?
But there were conversations about that in the past. I think Shirley Cook may be the right person to speak about that. But yes, I support it. I have no issues with it.
So Ms. Cook?
Yes. First of all, yes, duty free is something that the stakeholders has clamored for the longest time. And I think because of the relationship between Trinidad and Tobago and where we are as a tourism destination, I think having the island being duty free is an excellent way to attract investors and an excellent way to attract visitors on the whole. Your question before, though, was about the $300 million. Now, $300 million sound like a lot to us, but serious tourism island and destination, Barbados alone spends that in a whole year of promoting and marketing Barbados. I would, if money is limited and that's all we have, I would split that in half right away. One half would be going to serious marketing and promotion in our critical niche destination, which need to be selected appropriately. The next half will be put into serious internal house cleaning. We have to be honest. Tobago needs serious internal house cleaning on its tourism plans, facilities, and its human resource in order to create the kind of sustainability and responsible tourism that we need. So that all the things that Kevin says and John said in terms of the internal product, we would have to fix. We have to improve our sites and attractions. We'll have to fix the inter-island travel, because persons come to Trinidad. There is no transfer desk in Trinidad for persons who are connecting to Tobago. We have to train our people, and that's not only in the private sector. We have to train them in the public sector, because tourists interact with everybody when they come on the island. We'll have to create a data collection system. We have to improve the TTAL. We have to outsource, provide a bit more labor in their product development. There is not enough people in that sector to adequately develop the product. We have to be able, like I said earlier, to have a lot of these sites be managed and monitored by people in these communities. We must be able to create, there's so much work to be done internally that $150 million is not even enough. But if that is all we have, I know that the $150 million going to getting a lot of the stakeholders are not on board. Most of them are not paying taxes. They are not properly in digital. We need to bring people up to standard. And part of the mitigation measures that the government put forward, and I keep saying that, and it's not really taken on board, but those mitigation measures should have been penned to developing the product and to enhancing the kind of service and the stakeholders on the island, in that you should have penned a lot of those to that these stakeholders receiving government funds must put some of that money into training their staff. And look at Barbados. Barbados is paying for the training of many of the tourism stakeholder staff. So we need to, you see, and that is why I said initially, when we talk about tourism, especially in the post-COVID area, we have to lay a good solid foundation with respect to the survival mechanism and getting stakeholders on board. Because, and then again, because of money, a lot of these stakeholders who are not paying their fair due will have to come up to scratch if they are receiving these government funds. So there's a lot of work to do internally. And the other half of the money will be put into promotion and marketing for Destination Tobago.
I can feel the passion.
If I could also add there, Keegan, I think number of times we use the word the user experience. What do we want them to experience? And we will just say, well, it could go Pigeon Point, or it could go here and eat this. And you know what we don't do? We need to actually walk it. So from the experience of that traveler begins, as Ms. Cook indicated, from the time I reach the airport. What do we want them to see, feel, taste, touch if they walk to? So it has to start with the car rental picking them up. How are they greeted when they arrive at the hotel? If they decide to walk to Store B, how we interact with them goes a long way with that user experience. And that is what we oftentimes, I think we forget that. And we just say, well, they come to go Pigeon Point. And in between, they are treated badly, or they may stop to buy a Coke somewhere and the person like, may I know that price there? And
sorry, if I could interject. If I could interject here, the image, the ambience of Tobago right now does not really speak tourism as you move around. So there must be messaging and stuff. I know they have the I Love Tobago sign. And as you know, they're putting up another sign. But the concept of all these signs, and then the cost is another issue, but the concept is to engage the visitor and to create that experience so that the location of where you put these things are important. So you cannot just say that you go put up a lot of these signs in areas where it is not, it does not engage the visitor. That's very important. And like Kevin said again, walk into Pigeon Point, look at the lighting on that, the iconic Pigeon Point that we have, the lighting on that road. Many a time visitors have experienced robbery and attacks on that road. So what I'm saying is that we cannot continue the way that we've been doing. It is not a criticism, but we have to be honest, each of us, and even the stakeholders. I have to admonish some of them in some ways that it's time that we stop. We must demand more from the persons, but we have to put our house in order also. And again, TTAL, I need to say this because I need to say this. TTAL have been given the mandate to promote and market Tobago. But given TTAL the mandate with respect to financial disposition of funds to help tourism stakeholders, I think those decisions is what bogs down the stakeholders, and it creates unnecessary bureaucracy because the survival mechanism has not even taken off adequately for persons to even know if they'll be in business to continue this tourism work, and we're talking recovery. So that there are a lot of things that are done, and then in hindsight, we realize that we did not do it adequately because there is not enough collaboration, and the silos operation between the public sector and the private sector has to stop. And even within the public sector, this sense of dominance among them has to stop so that we can move forward. We love this island together. We have to make it better.
All right. So Mr. Arnold, I'm throwing this question out to you as the newly installed CEO of Tobago Festivals. What are the key actions required for the industry, the tourism industry, to recover post-COVID, in your opinion?
But you know, I actually gave you about 5 of those at the top here, in a very generic sense. And I think I identified, I can add to them. I did talk about restoring traveler confidence. I did talk about the digitalization and digitization. I did talk about the rebuilding of the destination. I did talk about market diversification and making sure that we have the proper health protocols. But I think beyond that, I think because I have said to you that we need to have consistent and persistent work behind policies that we create. So I was fortunate to have been on the committee working on the last tourism policy. And there are a lot of glorious areas in there. The approach of having this regional approach, giving the people the responsibility of the areas that they have control over. The regional corporations, they have those assets. The people in Arima, they know the first peoples there, they know what they do. All the sites there, the people in Karoni, they know all the sites there. And that approach is not a bad one. And also the idea of cluster tourism, the idea of the fact that if you're in Port of Spain, this is going to be a number of the things that you can see in one go. I think that right now, I think what we have to do is create the policies, but more than that, create the action implementation plan for us to move after COVID. And I'm sure Louis and them are doing great things working there, as well in Louis. And we are planning actually to work with both the festivals and TTAL, and also the culture division. Because for me, if those three don't work together, then we have a problem. Those three cannot work in silos. They have to work together to make that thing I talked about, history, culture, and the culture now, not just the performing arts, but the food. You know, let's get passionate. You know the Tobago tambourine, right?
Right.
That we have to do some work on that to make that not just something that is just for here, right? The congas, popular in Cuba, Udu drum, popular in Nigeria. We have a tambourine drum, which is, the Tobago tambourine is indigenous to us. But we have to now start talking about how do we internationalize this instrument, move it out from its moorings and start to make it as an export item. Those are discussions we have to talk. I mean, I'm talking about moving forward because those things have in the branding and the identifying of a place. That's what it does. It helps. I'm just taking that as an example. So I'm just saying that I think we have a wonderful opportunity with technology. Actually, we have been forced to move forward faster than we would have if we didn't have COVID.
I totally agree.
And if I could also add, I think we also need to deal with our curriculum and make some changes within that primary school level, teaching the tourism and culture studies, so that when a child comes out of primary school, they already know what is the Tobago history. If it is the tambourine, they know about it, they can speak to it. When they reach a visitor on the street and they ask them where it have to go, that child should be able to say, or that adult should then be able to say, well, if you want to do diving, we have the brain coral here. If you want to do food, you could try this, right? So the educational system could also change. And I know under the 5th schedule, we do have the power to make the slight change.
Can I just come in there? Can I, please, Keegan? In terms of the whole education, in terms of the product, we really it's so key because the education has to be in terms of not just understanding, but loving our island, loving our Trinidad and Tobago. So many of us, in spite of we bad talk this place, we don't like it, etc. So even though we are saying we are beautiful and stuff like that, many of us hate our island. And we could only, and as a result, we don't really want to uplift it. We don't really want to sell it. We are not necessarily proud. Well, some of us are, but not enough of us are proud of this, of our island, so that we can do the kinds of things that we are talking about in terms of its development. A Jamaican, Jamaica, you know, we should, some of us are about Tobago, but I think more of us need to be, and as Kevin said, it has to start in terms of the education.
But just to jump in there, I'm sorry I have to jump in like this, but you see that element of cultural confidence is one of the most unfortunate elements that we have to start working on in Tobago. You know, the way we speak, all those accents I hear across Tobago, they're beautiful. The people in Charlottesville, the people in Roxborough, in Bethel. We should be starting to do the kind of documentaries, just like Nigeria and Jamaica, all these, that speaks to the power of the town, the way we speak. It's a beautiful language. I mean, all right, okay. Let me get some.
I think Kevin is right. One of the things that ails us is the fact that we do not understand the value of tourism on our lives and our livelihoods. And because we do not understand the value of it, what it's worth, we do not, what Maria said just now is reflected in the fact that we, lack of a better word, we bad talk it. And on top of that, we feel that a lot of persons feel that the powers that be are not listening to the frustration that they have on the ground. Now, it takes two, but in order to change that scenario and to get the education in schools, we have to do a level of training, not only in just tourism, in customer service rather, but in tourism as a whole. And there is no reason why a tourist cannot come here and be engaged in a school, go visit a school. I know that even Sandals has that kind of program for their visitors, where tourists can come and they would be engaged with schools and the students and all of that. That is why I would put a lot of money into cleaning up our internal products so that the citizenry, and that is what responsible tourism means. It means that it has to be sustainable, but it has to redound to the benefit of the host. The host must feel part of the experience that they're delivering to the visitor. And that is what is lacking, and that is the lack of value. And one of the things I would like to see is that we need to start to incentivize our stakeholders by conducting an annual Service Excellence Award. And it doesn't have to be only for tourism. It could be across the island. So this award is going to assist people in raising the stakes or raising the barrier and feel proud of what we have here, that the cultural tourism, the natural heritage and all of that, the community tourism, we need to incentivize our tourism among our internal stakeholders.
So, Ms. Cook, I totally agree with you. In my opinion, people usually go and invest in things that they see value in. And I don't think as Tobagonians, most of us see the value in our heritage or see the value in the tourism product that we give out. And if you think about the Tobago Beyond brand that was recently launched, I don't think that Tobagonians bought into it as much as we should have. So, in your opinion, or anyone could take this question,
okay, I know Kevin is the marketing person, but okay, we already have it. Remember, Tital did a great job and got some awards for that. And you know, I'm proud that Tobago is getting a lot of awards, but is it really trickling down and benefiting to the island in general and to the stakeholders in particular and the people? That is why there's a lot of work to be done. Now, right. I would let Kevin take off from there because he's with respect to the vehicle. I had also said that the vehicle, there should be a branded Tobago Beyond vehicle so that when you go to Trinidad, let's say, to market Tobago, this vehicle should be there driving. I don't think it's cost that much to brand a vehicle that would drive around and do some educational things on tourism. That's right. Also something else.
So Kevin, the question to you is, does the brand Tobago Beyond have the required local buy-in? And if not, how can we accomplish this?
Well, I have made publicly on numerous times my displeasure with how that entire process was handled. However, we are here. I could say one of my major concerns was this. We saying we do have money, and then we piloted, you know, this new brand, when for me, we should have stayed on brand and used that money to basically relaunch, update, and push the image. But we have launched a brand. We launched the brand internationally, and we're giving the saying that we're getting good reviews. But the local people who have to sell the brand were not part of the process. And to date, I have not seen any push by the local authority to get that brand developed, to get us to like that brand. All right. So for me, in conversations, even when I was doing school in Trinidad, the thing that you hear people rolling off people's mouth is the clean green, safer, right? Because that's all we know, right? And I think a lot of persons fell in love with that brand. So first of all, you have to make people like that brand. just putting it on, telling them to put it as a hashtag is not enough.
But Kevin, if you think about it, the clean, green, safe and serene tagline was something that was taught to us in primary school.
Well, true. So now we have to go back and do some of that education element to come up, and then find ways to get the influencers. Because if the influencers really start to use the tagline, you would surprise to see half of your work done. Half of your work done, and again, it depends on your demographic. So you will get your younger audience basically repeating and saying, okay, well, hey, whoever the case may be. And there are different ways you could run. We have a lot of treasure hunts going on. There are many different ways, easy ways to get the brand in person's head. I saw a country when they were doing their branding, they started to use the name a year before on a number of different things. Then they name a mask band after it or a pan side of education. So by the time they did the launch, everybody already knew the name and they was just going with it.
So you are recommending that we have a football side named Tobago Beyond and put them in the capture the flag?
I'm recommending you go to John.
No, I mean, I want to push back heavily on those comments. I don't agree at all. I think incredible India. That's the tag. Incredible India. That's it. One word. Incredible. That's your imagination to run. You could do whatever you want after that. I think it's how you, and I think when I had spoken to some of the officers, they indicated that they did do the metrics and the evaluation and the work to evaluate the feedback on that beyond ordinary. So I don't think it was done arbitrarily. So on that basis is the basis on which I took it. And as I said, it depends how you take, and I mean, Kevin knows that. It depends how you take a brand and how you build it, how you decide to sell it, how you decide to swing it. So I have absolutely no problem. Now, I'll tell you this. You will recall we had Green, Clean, and Serene, and then we moved it to another tagline. I'm trying to remember it while I'm talking, which was talking about more activity and a busier life in Tobago.
Live the culture.
Live the culture.
Live the culture. That's it. Right, that's it. And I'll tell you this, when we went to Germany, they like live the culture. When we went to the UK, they said, no, they don't like that at all. They want that clean, green, and serene. And you found that is where you had the dichotomy now in terms of how people felt about it. People in Germany was like, why you guys, you know, we love that little energy you all give us because we don't want to feel as though we come into a place where it's just for the, what they call them, nearly dead and the newlywed, right? So, so you want to make sure you go. Now I'm telling you the comments you hear, right? So you want to make sure you want to move away from that. But you have to tell people the older generation, like clean, green, serene, but the younger generation were all for the live the culture because it spoke to something that they felt. Even the Zesters, I guess, would have liked that too. What I liked about Beyond Ordinary is that it left a lot of room for the imagination. It did. And that's why I like it. I have no problem with it at all.
Mr. Adams, not to cut you. I mean, in terms of the local buying, I don't think the local buying was done. So, for example, most college students, when they go off to college, I mean, every student that was leaving Tobago should have had a Tobago Beyond shirt, a Tobago Beyond book bag. Have people confused, have them asking questions, have that local buying in terms of what did we do to have Tobagonians buying to the Tobago Beyond?
Keegan, how many national songs do you know?
Most of them.
You know them by heart? Or if you hear them, if you hear them, you will sing it. Which one?
Well, I know most of them from primary school. I mean, if they start...
Right. I'm going to give you news here.
Right.
You know, and I left teaching a while now. Do you know how many students did not know the words to the national anthem? That's a fact. I used to give them it as lines to go in the library and actually write that. Several people don't know the Lord's Prayer.
The undercutting thing that we're dealing here with is the fact that people do not understand the product. They don't value the product. They don't see worth in the product.
Correct.
That is the underlying basis from which the Tobago Beyond was not accepted internally. In addition to that, Titan could have done a bit more work with the internal branding. We're on the island. You see Tobago Beyond. You know, there is nothing like that.
So Shirley, would you say we had mass buy-in for clean, green, and serene? Would you say that was a common thing for everybody across the length and breadth of Tobago?
No, it's not the length and breadth. You would not have 100% buy-in, but you have enough penetration in the market so that the average person would understand what Beyond Tobago means.
And you feel that in another year, you feel beyond ordinary?
It will happen as
common?
long as we make sure we put it out there. Everybody's on social media thing. The only place you really see Tobago Beyond is if you go to a Tital page, you know. So my point is there need to be greater penetration in the market, in the internal market, for people to understand what it means. And to understand what Beyond Tobago means, it means they have to accept and embrace the culture and what Tobago is really about. So all of that goes hand in hand in order to, and branding an island or destination is dynamic. You can't stick to the same brand. You kind of have to refresh yourself so that this is, you refresh with Tobago Beyond, but I don't think the internal work was sufficient to get the kind of internal penetration and buy-in for the brand.
I guess we will have to agree to disagree. So that's okay.
Okay, but speaking of brand, now that we have a brand, right? It means that we have to start attracting people to this kind of brand that we say, yes, it leaves a lot to the imagination of what is this destination about? Is beyond what? Is it beyond, well, it could be
I just
ordinary.
said it allows you the imagination.
And if it's beyond your expectations, when they come here, they ought to be wowed by the experience.
It's beyond your dreams. What about beyond your dreams? What you thought it was?
Well,
it's more than that.
Your imagination could run after Beyond. You can go to infinity.
And nothing is wrong with that? Incredible, incredible India. Incredible means what? Incredible what?
John, hold on. Stick a pin. I am not complaining that the brand is wrong. I'm not complaining, but my concern about the lack of buying is consistent with the value and that people place on tourism as a product in their life and their livelihood. And in order for us to change that, we have to help them understand the brand and what it means in their life. And it's not too late to do that.
So I'm agreeing with you, Shirley, on the fact that we have to do that. But that is not the branding of Beyond the Ordinary. Is not the sole factor to deal with having buy-in of a brand by the population of Tobago. That's my premise, is that cannot be the tool. The tool has to be all those other things we talked about: the education, the curriculum, right? The marketing across a wider span, right? Those things become important also to get the buy-in.
So Dr. I want to contribute to this discussion at this time. I want to hear your opinion in terms of the buy-in. Do you think enough was done to have Tobagonians buy in to the Tobago Beyond product?
Who's that, me?
Yes, Dr. Remy.
Kevin. No, I don't think there was enough done for the buy-in. To me, right now, it is a word. It is or a phrase. It is not yet deep. However, I'm going to give it time to get into the people's psyche. I just want to mention one thing though, because I know we're coming down near to the end of time in terms of the program. This issue of the health aspect of tourism on the island in terms of making sure that the health service can support a robust tourism, a robust tourism product has to be done. What I'm saying is that I've spent, what, 20 something years in Tobago in the healthcare field. And there was probably only 1 or 2 periods where there was active discussion between the product of what you give us as a product of health and the tourism product. Early in the day when they were fixing up the fort, when the fort was supposed to become a park, and that was, I'm talking about long time ago, we were involved in those discussions as healthcare providers. And then when we were building the new hospital, the planning for that, there was discussion again about the tourism product. Outside of that, there has been no intimate discussion, meaningful discussion, and that needs to happen. I remember as medical director having to fill out forms for these travel agents as to what you provide, what you can do, how much dialysis, that kind of thing, because the people are looking for what you have on the island to know how they market their destination. And we have not had those markets. And why don't we have it? I have no idea. There's no reason why we shouldn't.
Thank you.
Can I
Thank
just
you,
interject here about the health training? Because CARFA...
I'll give you about 1 minute because we have to wrap up just now. So 1 minute, you can go ahead.
Okay, what I'm saying is that I'm passionate too about health tourism, but with respect to COVID, if we bring it back to the situation we are in right now, there is health training for stakeholders and the citizens in general. And there is also, we call it the FIS program, that persons and stakeholders need to get online, get the training and register for it. It's put on by the Caribbean, by CARFA and the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association. So there are avenues out there to get the stakeholders so that, again, I would end my thing by talking about this trust and confidence. One of the things that I haven't seen in this COVID situation, and you know, this is a big topic tonight, that we have not seen, in order to build this trust and confidence in our host and in our visitors, we have not seen a level of the health division involved in trying to get a lot of these facilities up to a standard where people can have the trust and confidence that the protocols and all the sanitization measures have been adhered to. We need more health inspectors to go around and to ensure that all these are done. That is how we were able to open up to our borders in a quick time. The other thing we did not discuss here tonight, that even as we think about opening up our borders, which is something that a committee should be discussing as we speak, is that we must be able to put a plan together and engage. We should be engaging our external stakeholders with respect to the airlines and all of that, so that when we reach a point where we can open fully, we are not still trying to play catch up and we're not getting the crumbs, because other islands have opened up somehow, Barbados as an example. We don't know what's going to happen, but they are engaging the airlines, they are engaging their travel agents abroad and all of that. What are we doing? Are we doing that kind of thing so that, you know how we usually get airlines landing here and sharing with another island, and we only get a few of the visitors? You see, by not engaging them now, we are going to be in the same position. So that there are so many things to discuss with respect to tourism. That's why I would put a lot of money in internal cleaning and restructuring, retooling, and getting everybody on board so that we are poised to take off, because we have all that it takes here to be world stage with respect to tourism, never mind 116 square miles size. So I'm hoping that, you know, with everything saying, we have a strong product here, which I think the product is how the act of merging our human, cultural, and natural assets to create an experience. So that is indeed is our product. How we do that is our product.
Okay, all right. You have anything to contribute there, Mr. Arnold? I see you looking like you're ready to jump in.
No, I think it's closing comments now.
No. We'll extend the time just for these. I like the depth at which we're going. So, we'll extend the time just to see how.
Okay. I started to frame my closing comments, but okay, all right.
We'll start to frame the closing comments after this.
Yeah, no problems. But you go ahead. I don't know if you.
All right. So
the
the final question of the night is: think of me as a tourist coming from some part of the world, and I'm coming to each of you. What is Tobago's tourism product in your opinion? Take some time. Think about it. What are you going to tell me? What does Tobago have to offer? What is the product that we offer here in Tobago? I will start with Dr. Remy.
Okay, we offer. I will take you to the reef, the Nylon pool. That's my backyard. That's where I grew up, and that's where I enjoy, and I know lots of people enjoy. The product is the beauty of that part. There was a couple of years ago, some people came here and they were filming Tobago, and they said they've never seen an island that had so much variety within such a short distance. After the beach, I'm taking them up to the rainforest for a hike. I'm going to take them around Tobago and stuff like that. So all that natural beauty, I'm going to take them. And at the end of it, I will bring them down to the island. In the evening for sunset, lying by Shirley's place on Crown Point, not Crown Point. Yes. And enjoy themselves right there. That's my product.
We go to Miss Cook. Miss Cook, I'm a tourist. Tell me, what product does Tobago have to offer? What are you going to tell me? Your mic?
We tend to get caught up in thinking that Tobago product is something you can touch. We need to get away from that. Tobago's product is an experience. That is Tobago's product in a nutshell. And how you create that experience is merging the best of our human resources, our natural assets, and our cultural assets to create the experience beyond the visitor's wildest dreams. That is the product. So what Maria's saying, what you're going to do, that is the act of creating that experience. So as long as we focus on the product is not the brain coral, the cotton tree, all of that is tentacles of the experience. Right. You see, so that the product of Tobago's tourism is in the experience beyond your wildest dreams. That's our product.
All right, so we go to Mr. Arnold.
Yeah, so I want to, if somebody came and said, they're planning to come, I'd say, listen, the first thing I would tell you, I'll give you 12 places you must visit so you get the whole gamut. The bioluminescent tour, right. I would tell them there are 3 festivals, choose which one you want to deal with: Jazz, Heritage, Blue Food, Nylon Pool and Buko Reef, Sunday School Street Party, Little Tobago Tour, bird watching in the rainforest. You must have some crab and dumpling dish. You have to go Pirates Bay. You have to visit the Fort King George Heritage Park and the museum. And you must have the Carnival of Wind experiences. All of those.
What about Lovers Bay in Charlottesville?
Oh yeah, I could only give him a 12 there. So I only gave him a 12. There are loads more, but I just gave him a top 12. I would literally say that the one thing I think makes us unique is we have myriad unique experiences. All right. That's me.
So you would not be inviting them to any Zest on the island? That is what you're saying.
No, Zest don't spend money.
All right. Last but certainly not least, we go to Mr. McKenna. Mr. McKenna, what would you tell the tourists Why this
I find Mr. Arnold being very biased to the zest movement. Anyway, I think we have, in terms of our product, we have one, the people. You see that thing that we do if we are living in an area and there's a guest house, and if we cook in, we go cook a pie and carry for them, or we can say, hey, I want mango, and you're going back Trinidad with something from in the backyard, whether it be mandarin, orange, breadfruit. That is one of the selling points for me as Tobagonian to anybody. That part where we always willing to give them something. Look, go back with this. Look, this same mommy, auntie, medication. We create long-lasting friendships. That is one. Our sites and attractions. Next thing. And I think with our sites of attractions, of course, it goes back to, as I said, what do you want that person to experience? If someone calls me, I ask them, I would ask them, what are you coming to Tobago for? You're coming to honeymoon? If you're coming to honeymoon, I wouldn't really put you in the because they may more want to stay indoors. I would say, listen, you can go to Castara, or you can go up to the Charlottesville side. I'll put them to the northeastern side up in the east. If you're coming more and you want a lime party, eat, drink, case maybe I'll say, okay, well, they could probably stay down on the Bonaccord Crown Point side. And that is something, again, John spoke about it in terms of clusters, where you have to know what areas you want to send the tourists based on the activities they may want to do. Now, yes, you can still drive around the island and do whatever the case may be, but depending on what you're coming to do, if you're coming on a business meeting, you may not want to be in the Crown Point area because, you know, you may be up doing your presentations or writing letters, the case may be. And then, of course, your branding. I saw someone said branding is just about repeating. No, it's not just about repeating, because you could repeat something that is horrible, right? And this, it works against you. You have to have good branding. For example, Samsung. Samsung does not sell you the phone. They sell you the features. And the branding or the words that they use gives you, the user, the impression that I need that phone because I really want to use that feature. Ask yourself, with all these phones you buy, how many of those features are you actually using? Stag does the same thing. Stag, a man's bear. So that's why you see the memes happening between Stag and Carib. So you have to get inside the person's head.
Yes,
I mean,
you know, Kevin, you hit the nail on the head there. No matter, you have, like any business, you must know your customers. You must know your clients. You must know your visitor. That's why the marketing and promotion of where we're going to get visitors to come to our island is important. You must know what they want to do once they come. And then you can offer, you can match them with the appropriate experience. So, you know, you can, that is your selling product, you know, for your tourism. So knowing your customer, knowing the areas of the world where we are attracting from which we are attracting our visitors is really, really, really important, because persons may come here, we may want to market in areas that when the people come, this is really not the island for them. And for those people that come to the island and love the island, because even 2019, we only had about 20,000 visitors to the island. And those people, if you check outside of the Sun Wing, if you check those visitors who came to the island, most of them are people who really love the island, so they came back. You know, outside of the people that Sunwing get, because Sunwing came on our island for the first time last year. So knowing and you see those, the other thing is, there must be, Barbados have this program where they're the workers visa program. Every island could adopt a workers visa program, because every tourist around the world doesn't necessarily want to go to Barbados. So Tobago can have a similar program to attract persons. And one of the things that I think in the Tobago states, because our tourism is so infantile, is to attract persons who can come with the expertise and the experience to build our tourism product. So we can offer visas to niche specialists to come to our island to help build or to be you know, to help us with innovation or whatever else. So all I'm saying is that people come to our island, we open to the world, but we are not free for all, but not free to all, because we do not have a product here that is free to all.
All right. So the last question to the evening before we wrap up is no, not last question. The last thing I would say is that the next topic will be campaigning finance strategies. That will be dealing with the Tobago Civil Net Society. Will be dealing with that. That is the next topic that in the upcoming session. Let me, on behalf of Tobago Civil Society Network, thank each of you for taking part in this program today. It was very informative. At this time, I will give you one line to say. What would you like to say to Tobago as it pertains to tourism? One line. Dr. Remy, we'll start with you.
The one line I would say is that Tobago is beautiful. Let's live in it in a manner that shows that we appreciate the island and get others to come to experience what we're experiencing. Okay. Meet me at 5:30 tomorrow at Mount Irving Bay, and I'll give you an experience that you'll never forget.
5:30 in the morning or in the evening?
Morning.
Morning, Keegan. Morning. Oh,
all right. So
AM.
All right, no problem. Mr. Arnold, one line.
Diaspora Festival next year. Let's bring Nelson, Nicole Crooks, Tobago Crusoe, the whole shebang, and do a big thing.
All right. Mr. McKenna, one line.
My one line would be to see the fruition of a second Tobago Carnival.
All right. Ms. Cook?
My one-liner is that we must establish a strategic tourism plan immediately that's going to take into consideration all the things that the other speaker just spoke about. And everyone would be on the same page.
Thank you. Again, on behalf of the Tobago Civil Society Network, I thank each of you for taking time out of your
Hey, this was fun, by the way. Let's do it again.
Right. We would be doing it again. And this program was brought to you by the Tobago Civil Society Network, which is a group of non-partisan civil society organizations, NGOs, and citizens whose aim is the holistic development of Tobago. And as I close, I am your host, Keegan Dinoon, and my closing remarks are, it is said that people will forget what you tell them. They would forget what you would have showed them, but they would never forget how you made them feel. So when tourists come to Tobago, ensure that they feel loved, appreciated, so that they would want to come back again. Nice. So thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was nice being here.